At 0312 hours, the Strait of Hormuz was black and windless. Water temperature 29 degrees Celsius. Visibility clear to the horizon. The kind of silence that doesn't mean peace. It means someone is waiting. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, CVN-69, was transiting the strait at 18 knots, 23 nautical miles southeast of the Iranian coastline. 1,092 feet of nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. 104,000 tons fully loaded. Her strike group held a precise defensive formation. The Ticonderoga-class cruiser USS Leyte Gulf stationed 8 nautical miles to the north. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyers USS Mason and USS Gravely positioned on the eastern and western flanks respectively. 6,000 American sailors, the most powerful naval formation on Earth, transiting the narrowest choke point in the Persian Gulf. The Iranians had been watching for 11 days. I'm your host at World Defense, where we break down the operations that expose the true limits of military power in the modern age. What Iran attempted in the Strait of Hormuz that night wasn't a provocation or a warning shot. It was a calculated, coordinated assault designed to sink an American carrier and permanently alter the balance of power in the Middle East. They failed. Here's exactly how, and exactly why. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy had spent 11 days positioning its assets with unusual patience and discipline. 3 Sina-class fast attack vessels had moved into ambush positions across the strait. Running dark, no radar emissions, no radio traffic, no AIS transponder signals. Each vessel carried 4 C-704 anti-ship missiles. Range, 35 kilometers. Sea-skimming flight profile at 5 meters above the waterline. Terminal approach speed, Mach 0.9. The weapons were designed specifically to defeat close-in defensive systems by arriving fast, low, and in numbers too large to engage individually. Supporting the surface element. 2 Ghadir-class midget submarines had been holding at 40 meters depth on either side of the carrier's projected transit lane. Each submarine was armed with 2 heavyweight torpedoes. The attack geometry was precise. The Ghadir boats would fire at the moment the missiles saturated the carrier's defensive attention, a coordinated multi-axis assault timed to the second. Total Iranian ordnance committed to the attack, 11 missiles, 4 torpedoes. Total value of the target, $13 billion. Total American lives aboard the Eisenhower and her escorts, approximately 7,500. At 0247 hours, the lead Sina-class commander transmitted final targeting coordinates to his crew, range to the Eisenhower, East Friesier, 31 nautical miles. The firing solution was clean. The approach had been flawless. He had maintained mission silence for 11 days without a single mistake. He was confident his formation was invisible to American sensors. He had been building toward this moment for months. He was wrong about all of it. What they didn't know was, the USS Eisenhower strike group had been tracking every Iranian vessel in the strait with continuous, unbroken surveillance for 96 hours, before a single missile left its launcher. A P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft operating out of Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar had been flying overlapping racetrack patterns at 25,000 feet since February 14th. Its AN/APY-10 synthetic aperture radar mapping every surface contact within 200 nautical miles of the strait in real time. The Poseidon's crew had logged the departure of all 3 Sina-class vessels from Bandar Abbas at 2140 hours the previous evening, tracked their course changes, and transmitted continuous position updates to the Eisenhower's Combat Information Center throughout the night. Below the surface, USS Mason's AN/SQS-53C hull-mounted sonar had detected the distinctive acoustic signature of both Ghadir-class submarines at 0031 hours, 2 hours and 41 minutes before the Iranian attack order was transmitted. SOSUS passive hydrophone arrays embedded in the strait floor confirmed submarine positioning to within 400 meters of actual location. The underwater picture was complete. The surface picture was complete. Nothing in the Iranian formation had moved without American knowledge since before. Midnight. At 0249 hours, 23 minutes before the Iranian launch, the Eisenhower's Combat Information Center formally assessed the tactical situation and transmitted a single classified message to 5th Fleet Headquarters. Imminent coordinated multi-axis missile and torpedo attack. Iranian IRGCN assets, Strait of Hormuz. The carrier's commanding officer was at his battle station within 90 seconds. Every ship in the strike group shifted to full combat readiness simultaneously. Weapon systems armed. Fire control radars active. MH-60R Seahawk helicopters aboard USS gravely spun up their rotors on the flight deck. Their AN/AQS-22 airborne low-frequency sonar systems ready for immediate deployment against the submarine threat. The Iranians were still running silent, still confident, still invisible, in their own assessment. At 0312 hours, the IRGCN attack commander transmitted the launch order on encrypted radio. 11 C-704 missiles ignited simultaneously across 3 surface vessels. Their solid fuel rocket boosters pushed them to operational altitude in 4.3 seconds. Then the missiles dropped to wave-top height and accelerated to cruise speed. The attack package organized itself automatically into a coordinated salvo. 7 missiles bearing directly on the Eisenhower, 2 targeting USS Leyte Gulf, 2 targeting USS Mason. The geometry was designed to force the defensive systems to split their engagement capacity across multiple threats simultaneously. At the same moment, both Ghadir submarines fired. 4 heavyweight torpedoes entered the water, their electric propulsion systems spinning to 40 knots within seconds, running at 12 meters depth toward the carrier's projected position. The Iranian commander watched his launch telemetry with satisfaction. 11 missiles away, clean. 4 torpedoes running true. He permitted himself a single moment of confidence. That moment lasted exactly 6 seconds. Vampire, vampire, vampire. Multiple inbound, bearing 027, range 22 nautical miles, 11 contacts, sea skimming profile, tracking inbound at high speed. Torpedo alert, bearing 031 and 034, 4 weapons in the water, closing. USS Leyte Gulf responded before the radio call-out finished. Her AN/SPY-1B phased array radar had been tracking all 11 missiles since ignition. Fire control solutions had been computed and locked in 11 seconds from first detection. The cruiser fired 8 RIM-156 standard missiles in rapid succession, each weapon receiving continuous mid-course guidance updates as it climbed to intercept altitude. The SM-2S reached the incoming C-704 salvo at 14 nautical miles, well outside the strike group's inner defensive envelope. 7 of the 11 missiles were engaged. 4 clean kills. 3 damaged missiles detonated prematurely over open water, their warheads triggering from proximity fuse failure. The remaining 4 continued inbound. USS Mason's RIM-116 rolling airframe missile battery fired at 9 nautical miles. The RAM system's dual-mode passive radio frequency and infrared seeker acquired each surviving missile within 2 seconds of entering engagement range. 3 more intercepts, 3 more kills. 1 C-704 remained. Its guidance antenna partially destroyed by near-miss fragmentation, its flight path becoming erratic, descending in an unstable corkscrew toward the waterline. The Eisenhower's Phalanx CIWS Block 1B acquired the final missile at 1.1 nautical miles. The 20mm M61A1 Gatling cannon spun to 4,500 rounds per minute and fired a 1.3-second burst. The C-704 came apart 900 meters from the carrier's hull. Fragments impacted the water 60 meters off the starboard bow. No damage, no casualties. Elapsed time from first missile detection to final intercept. 4 minutes, 11 seconds. The torpedo threat lasted longer and ended more decisively. The 2 MH-60R Seahawks from USS Gravely were airborne 7 minutes after the submarine contacts were formally designated as hostile. Each helicopter carried 2 Mark 54 lightweight torpedoes and a deployed AN/AQS-22 sonar array. The Seahawks established contact with both Ghadir submarines within 3 minutes of arriving on station. The Iranian boats were attempting to go deep and sprint away from the engagement zone, their acoustic signatures becoming louder rather than quieter as their crews pushed their electric motors beyond rated capacity. The first Ghadir was prosecuted at 0331 hours. 1 Mark 54 torpedo, active sonar homing. Impact confirmed 43 seconds after weapon release. The submarine's pressure hull failed at depth. No survivors. The second Ghadir detected the first explosion and immediately began emergency surfacing procedures. The crew understood what was coming. At 0334 hours, the submarine broached the surface 6 nautical miles northwest of the carrier. Her crew began transmitting distress signals on international maritime frequencies. USS Gravely's crew recovered 14 survivors from the water over the following 90 minutes. The submarine itself sank in 340 meters of water. On the surface, the picture was equally one-sided. USS Mason's crew had maintained targeting solutions on all 3 Sina-class fast attack vessels throughout the engagement. At 0317 hours, 5 minutes after the Iranian missile launch, the order was given to engage the surface threat. The destroyer fired 4 RGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles in 2-round pairs. All 4 weapons guided cleanly on active radar homing. 2 Sina-class vessels were struck directly, their fuel and remaining missile loads detonating in secondary explosions visible from the Eisenhower's bridge 23 nautical miles away. The third Sina-class vessel turned south at maximum speed, approximately 40 knots, and transmitted a surrender signal 8 minutes later. A naval boarding team from USS Mason reached the vessel at 0347 hours. The crew of 17 was taken into custody. Total duration of the engagement from first Iranian missile launch to final action, 17 minutes and 23 seconds. Iranian losses: 2 Sina-class fast attack vessels destroyed, 1 captured with crew. 2 Ghadir-class submarines destroyed, 1 crew partially recovered. 11 C-704 anti-ship missiles expended with 0 hits achieved. 4 heavyweight torpedoes expended with 0 hits achieved. Estimated Iranian personnel killed, 110 to 140. American losses: 0 ships damaged, 0 aircraft lost, 0 casualties. Iran's state media reported the attack as a successful strike against American aggression in Iranian territorial waters. They released footage of the missile launches filmed from shore. The launches were real. Everything that followed was not mentioned. The United States released radar track data, acoustic recordings, and satellite imagery documenting the complete engagement within 48 hours. The evidence was unambiguous and public. The diplomatic response from Tehran was furious and predictable. The operational response from the IRGCN was something different: silence. No further provocations in the strait for the following 60 days. The fast attack vessel fleet that had taken years to build and position had been reduced by 2/3 in 17 minutes. The submarine crews that had trained specifically for carrier attack operations were gone. What the Strait of Hormuz engagement demonstrated was not simply American defensive capability. It demonstrated the complete integration of surveillance, tracking, and weapon systems across an entire strike group, operating as a single organism. The Iranians fired first. The Americans had already won before the first missile left its launcher. Every target was tracked. Every attack vector was anticipated. Every weapon system was pre-positioned and ready. The Eisenhower never changed course. Modern naval power is not about the size of the weapon you fire. It is about whether your enemy knows you are coming before you decide to come. In the Strait of Hormuz, the United States watched Iran build its attack for 96 hours, let the missiles fly, destroyed every single one, and then eliminated the platforms that fired them. All before the Iranian commander had time to assess whether his attack had succeeded. 11 missiles, 4 torpedoes, 3 naval vessels, 17 minutes. Nothing reached its target. That is the lesson the Persian Gulf delivered on that night. And every adversary with anti-ship missiles and ambitions in contested waters would be wise to understand it completely. Stay informed, stay vigilant.